Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Radhika Rama 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 Hare Hare Radhika Ramana Rama 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 Hare Hare Radhika Ramana Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama that's the tune. When sung in Bengal, all the ladies start ululating. You know that? Because this is a song, I mean a tune, a melody, of raising the temple. It builds very slowly and very gradually, and everyone is very meditative. But then it breaks into a more intensive beat. And that's when all the ladies start ululating. How do they do? Let me hear. Yes?
You wag your tongue back and forth and you cover your mouth. And when a whole bunch of ladies do it, it really sounds like.
Oh,
Sounds like
you know
so
what?
cool.
Jagannath loves that sound.
They're Jagannath.
Particularly. Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So these are tradition. This is tradition. Gaur Kirtan tradition. We should learn these traditions. I know that the youth are doing good at that. I see the younger Kirtaniyas and so forth. So the tradition is there, melodies are there, moods have to be there also. So that's what we have to work on, moods. And without hearing and chanting, no moods will come. And especially without hearing Harikatha from our acharyas, what they have spoken, then those moods cannot come. It is dependent upon that. Bhakti. Without bhakti, kirtan is only music. Gurudev told us. He said it's called, what do you call it? What? Sangeet, yeah. He told that to Kishore Mohan and Sudevi. He says, you know how to do Sangeet, but I will teach you how to do Kirtan. So Kirtan has many requirements. First and foremost, that one is serving Sri Guru. Humble servant of Sri Guru, and the Kirtan is under his direction for the pleasure of Hari Guru and Vaishnavas. If it is not for their pleasure, then it is not Kirtan. If it is for showing any skill, any ability, and so forth, then it is not Kirtan, it's Sangeet. You see. And there are many in India, super expert in Sangeet. But for it to be considered to be actual Kirtan, then these requirements have to be there. Okay.
Does Sangeet mean performing?
No, Sangeet means music.
Musician.
Right? Music.
Music. Just
Yes.
music.
Sangeet means music.
Rock song.
Huh?
Rock song.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo mahabhadanaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne Gauda Trishe Namaha. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Brindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my unlimited Dandavat Pranams, my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My Dandavat Pranams to all of my Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga. And my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and the Vaishnavis. Can you turn this table around? I have to hold it here and here. And just flip it around. Okay.
Oh,
And,
yes.
yeah.
Footstand.
Yes. What did we hear about yesterday? What was the topic? You weren't here. And neither was Gopalandini.
Recuerdo los 9 procesos de Srila Maharaj. Sravanam, Kitanam, Parasevanam, Achanam.
You saying about the verse that Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam?
Yeah. And there are two types of sadhana bhakti. What are the names of these two types of sadhana bhakti? That's correct. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was explaining that, because we're still in the section of, householder Vaishnavas. And he told, actually I went a few pages ahead. Because now we're coming up to sannyasi and renunciates. Yes. Hmm. Okay. I'm just reading it again to catch you up who are not here. Only a few sentences I'm reading. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, one is to gradually diminish. One is to gradually diminish. Diminish what? He'll tell you after Radha Govinda. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Ki Jai. One is to gradually diminish his state of performing Vaidhi Bhakti and enter Rag Anuga Bhakti. What does that mean? One is to diminish his state of performing Vaidhi Bhakti and enter Rag Anuga Bhakti. What does that mean? Diminish his state of performing Vaidhi Bhakti. What is Vaidhi Bhakti first? What's the meaning?
Rules and regulations.
Yeah, but
Following according to those.
how is it Bhakti? Rules and regulations. It's called Vaidhi Bhakti. It's not called Vaidhi. Vaidhi means rules and regulations. Vidhi. But Vaidhi Bhakti? What is Vaidhi Bhakti?
Following according to set rules and regulations rather than spontaneous moods following the line of Varna
Yeah. Because we don't have that spontaneous mood. How can we do that? So therefore, by default, we have to follow Vaidhi Bhakti. Otherwise, there will be no possibility of entering into the mood of spontaneous attraction, which is called Rag Anuga. So, why has Rupa Goswami called it Vaidhi Bhakti? Because there are Navavidha Bhakti, we talked about that yesterday. That's the 9 limbs of Bhakti, right? As Charachandrika just told. The 9 limbs of Bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying we should perform the 9 limbs of Bhakti and also the 5 limbs of Bhakti. He said we should do the 64 limbs as best we can, but especially we should always perform Navavidha Bhakti, Navada Bhakti, the 9 limbs of Bhakti, and especially we should always concentrate on making sure that we are performing the 5 limbs of Bhakti. Now what are the 9 limbs?
Sure.
Correct. And who spoke that verse? Yes. Who did he speak it to? Huh?
His father,
Correct. And how did his father respond?
he was not happy.
Not only that, but he said that that person who performs these 9 limbs of Bhakti to Vishnu, he is the best. He is Uttam. He is the best amongst the human society. Now that performing of that can be either Vaidhi, sadhana bhakti, sadhana, or Rag Anuga, sadhana bhakti. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that in course of time, of course, he's introducing the whole system by which householders should live and perform pure bhakti, by which renunciates should live and perform pure bhakti. He is representing that. But he says that one is to gradually diminish his state of performing Vaidhi Bhakti and enter Rag Anuga Bhakti. So, I'm reading this again because even though some were here yesterday, this is a very deep topic. And we went into quite a description of what is Raga Nuga and so forth. But here he's telling that in this attempt, after deep attachment to Bhagavan has manifested, in course of time, when deep attachment to Bhagavan has manifested, after that has happened, then many vidhis means the rules, many vidhis go far away of their own accord. Why would the vidhis go far away of their own accord?
They are no longer necessary.
Yes, because of deep attachment. Huh? So in that stage, there is no need to perform purificatory activities or any other such things, because deep attachment for the Lord has manifested. Then he says, although the mind of a person who has entered Rag Marg, the pathway of spontaneous devotion, although the mind of a person who has entered Rag Marg is never inclined to perform sinful acts, but if by chance he does so due to the influence of ignorance, then Bhagavan will mercifully purify him. So it's a more intimate connection with the Lord. Our pathway of attaining the service of the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan, this is not a pathway of Vaidhi Bhakti. The Lord cannot be attained in Goloka Vrindavan through the pathway of Vaidhi Bhakti. Why is that? What is the problem with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti that the Lord cannot be attained through that? The Lord in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna. Can Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha be attained through that? Yes, he can. But it's very clearly stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially, that no. The Krishna himself is telling. This is in the beginning of the 4th chapter. Right. And Krishna himself is telling that the whole world worships me with awe and veneration. Awe and veneration mean Vaidhi Bhakti. In that type of bhakti, there's a little fear. That means awe. Because they're focusing on my Aishwarya. My Aishwarya. So they worship me in that way, with awe and veneration. But he said that devotion which is weakened, he uses the word shitila. Shitila means weakened by awe and veneration, does not completely satisfy me, Krishna says. So, in all religions, we see, in Muslim religion, Allah the Great, you see, Bhagavan, even those in the Vaishnava system, there is very much attention given to the supremacy of the Lord, Bhagavan, Bhagavata, his 6 opulences, infinite 6 opulences, but especially his Aishwarya, his majesty. So therefore, the domain of Vaikuntha is filled with that. All the devotees there, they are in dasya rasa, servitude toward their master. But Krishna is telling in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj is quoting Krishna, that this cannot satisfy me fully. And then he begins to tell about how the reciprocation that he has with his mother, with his cowherd boyfriends, sakas, with the gopis, how this completely captivates his mind and heart. These intimate dealings. I was just reading the other day, it was Srila Bhakti Balbhatirtha Maharaj. No, it was Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj's narration of Jagadish Pandit, the life of Jagadish Pandit. He had a special relationship with Lord Jagannath. That's a whole story. So, that Jagadish Pandit, one of Mahaprabhu's own personal associates, in the course of telling about how the moods of the pujaris of Lord Jagannath are, and it's all in relation to a story about how Lord Jagannath said to Jagadish Pandit in a dream, I want you to take me with you. I want you to take me. These pandas here, they always abuse me so much. The priests, the pandas. And you know what that's referring to? This is an age-old custom in Puri, that the relationship is so intimate with Jagannath. Because when your relationship is intimate with someone, you can abuse them, in a kind of joking way, right? And call them all kinds of names. Because the person is realizing, oh, he actually loves me. You see? Even in human dealings, that's there. So because Lord Jagannath is supposed to be like a human being, right? That's the mood of worship of Jagannath. So there's not so many rules and regulations in the worship of Jagannath. And so when Jagannath is taken by the pandas, it takes many, many of them, you can see it on YouTube, how there's like a whole crowd of pandas around Jagannath, and they're lifting him. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu, in his Ratha Yatra Prasanga. So they're lifting Jagannath, and they're rocking him like this, and they're yelling many abusive words at Jagannath. So although Lord Jagannath loves that, and it goes on every single year, it's like that. But nevertheless, he appeared in the dream of Jagadish Pandit. He said, I want you to take me with you. See, because it was coming the Navakalevara. The Navakalevara, the new body of Jagannath. And he said, when they make my new body, I want you to take me with you. Only Jagannath, not Baladev, Subhadra, and so forth. Yes. And then Jagadish said, but my Lord, how will I carry you? And so far, all the way back to Bengal. Jagannath said, I will make myself as light as a feather. You will easily be able to carry me. And then he said, and also, you can carry me in your pouch, because he had a certain pouch. And I will become small like that, then you can carry me in your pouch. That Jagannath is still there in the village of Jagadish Pandit. He came all the way. How did I get onto this topic? Oh, yeah, spontaneous devotion. Spontaneous, right? So, Krishna is telling that I'm not satisfied with Vaidhi Bhakti. And the whole world is worshipping me with this awe and reverence. But it cannot fully satisfy me. It is weakened. The bhakti, the mood, is weakened by awe and reverence. So that was one of the reasons Krishna was explaining why he wants to come into this world, as he did 5,000 years ago. It's one of his reasons. He wanted to broadcast the moods, the sweet moods of his eternal associates in Braja Vrindavan. And he wanted to perform, how was it put? He wants to stage a dramatic performance of his Braj Leela pastimes, that by hearing, anyone in the whole universe will automatically become attracted to me and serve me in those moods. That's why, one of the main reasons why Krishna came. Why Krishna came 5,000 years ago. Because he wanted to broadcast to the whole universe his Braj intimate pastimes with his eternal associates in Braj. See? So, so Krishna is telling like this because he wants to make it known. And he did that by performing his pastimes, his Braj Leela pastimes. That's why we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Krishna came to this earth and he performed these pastimes 5,000 years ago. Otherwise, we wouldn't know about him and his abode and his associates and everything like that. But Krishna revealed himself fully. But even after revealing himself and performing those pastimes, he still was not feeling fully satisfied. Why?
He wanted to taste the moods of Srimati Radhika.
Yes. But that's for his own purpose. But he wasn't feeling satisfied because although he performed, but there was a very high bar of entrance into those moods. And he felt that I have not given this to the world. I have not given these moods. But now I will come in this form. And I will make even the Mlechas and Yavanas and outcasts dance and sing in ecstasy of Krishna praying. That is also an external reason, but internal is the moods of Srimati Radhika. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give this system that was not given before, called Rag Marg Bhakti. I'm going to quote a verse that you should pay close attention to. This is a verse that Srila Gurudev lectured on, mentioned many times. It's a very essential verse, which is describing two reasons. Why Krishna comes and why he again comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are two causes. Prem ras niryas korite asvadan rag marg bhakti loke korite pracharan. Rasika Shekhar Krishna Parama Karunya E Dui Hetu Hoite Ichar Udgama. These are the two payars, the two verses from that chapter, 4th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila.
I thought we just read it this morning.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
So, here he's telling. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling. He's saying that Premras Niryas Korite Asvadan, that means for the purpose of tasting the essence of Premras. Korite Asvadan. Asvadan means to taste. Ras. You have to be rasika in order to taste ras. No one can taste ras unless they are rasika. They have to be qualified. What to speak of the essence of all prem ras. Prem ras niryas. Niryas means the essence of prem ras. So, prem ras niryas korite asvadan Rag Marg Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharan. That's the second line. Here he's mentioning Rag Marg Bhakti. This is what we're talking about. Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai. This is what we're talking about. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is talking about. Rag Marg Bhakti. Now we talked about this a little yesterday, but I know you're not so familiar and you didn't remember all of these terminologies and so forth. But we talked about Rag Anuga. Remember that? We talked about Rag Anuga. And we talked about what other type of Anuga? Rupa Anuga. But I'm not talking in that regard right now. Now this is a broader topic. This is talking about why Krishna descends into this world. And there are two causes. Two dui hetu. Hetu means cause. So we just told that the first one is to do what? To come and taste what? Huh? The essence of Prem Ras. And then the second thing is Rag Marg Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharan. Now we know the word prachar, it means to preach, right? Prachar. It also means to broadcast, to show. To show what? Rag Marg Bhakti. The marg, the pathway of Rag Bhakti. And Rag, again, it means absolutely spontaneous devotion, particularly of Krishna's eternal associates. That's why they're called Rag Atmik. So, in order to broadcast this pathway by which the jivas can attain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, his eternal service, that they can attain that, Mahaprabhu came to broadcast Rag Marg Bhakti in this world. He particularly broadcasted this through his immediate disciples, the 6 Goswamis. He ordered them, he instructed them, he ordered them to write all these literatures. Mahaprabhu did not write any books, but his associates were ordered by him to write all these literatures. And many, many great literatures were written to enable and to help the jivas come into this pathway of Rag Anuga Bhakti. Rag Marg Bhakti. Now the next verse is making this even more clear. This next verse is telling two things about Krishna. Two things about him. First thing is Rasika Shekhar Krishna. Tell me what that means. Rasika Shekhar. Rasika Shekhar Krishna. What does Shekhar mean? If you know that, then you know what I'm talking about. Shekhar means the best, most expert. Krishna is called Rasika Shekhar Krishna. He is the most expert of all tasters of what? Ras. Thank you. You're paying attention. Rasika Shekhar Krishna. That's the first thing about Krishna. It's actually the most prominent characteristic about Krishna, is that he's the supreme taster of all rasa. Why? Why is he the supreme taster of all rasa? Because he's made of it. He's made of rasa. Did you know that about Krishna?
It's his favorite thing too.
Yes, because he's made of it.
His relationships.
He is made of rasa. Did you know that? Krishna's body, Krishna and himself, there's no difference between his body and himself. He is made, composed of rasa. That's why Rupa Goswami said, in his very first words of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he said, Akhil Rasamrita Murti. Rasa Amrita. Akhil. Akhil means completely. Akhil Rasa Amrita Murti. Rasa Amrita means the nectar of rasa. Because rasa is nothing but nectar. Sometimes translated as ecstasy. Sometimes translated as love. But you have to know the meaning of the word rasa to understand this great work, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Krishna, he's actually made of ecstasy. Srila Sridhar Maharaj would often say, ecstasy personified. Ecstasy personified. Can you imagine that there is a person who walks into this room and he's made of ecstasy? He's made of love. That's Krishna. I'm going to tell you a nice little story. When we were with Gurudev in the Philippines, this was in the year 1999, just at the time when it was going to change into the year 2000. We had rented a place and turned it into a little temple for Gurudev, who was coming to stay 1 month in the Philippine Islands and do a writing retreat. So first he arrived in the capital, Manila, and we picked him up and we brought him to the new temple that we had fixed up. And then the next day, as he always does in the morning, he went for his morning walk. Okay, so we're walking around in this neighborhood, and there's nice houses in this neighborhood, but not far from there is a whole nother section of much, much lower class small houses. And Gurudev was remarking that this is a little bit unusual, that there are these small houses of poorer people almost right next to the houses of the wealthier people. So Gurudev, he was walking, and then just near to the front of the temple, when we were coming back from the morning walk, there were a block, because we're walking on a sidewalk. The sidewalk is made of cement. And when they lay the cement for sidewalks, they lay them in squares, right? And the cement is still wet. It's not dried yet, so it's not hard. So sometimes when it's in that condition, a person comes and takes a stick or something, and then he writes his name there or something like that on the sidewalk, right? So in this case, it was very interesting. Somebody had written, God is love. God is love. Now we know that in this world sometimes people say things like that. God is love. Although they don't know how to explain that necessarily. But they have a mood, a bit sentimental mood. God is love. But actually, that's true. But without knowing the Vaishnava Siddhanta, you can't really explain how that's true. So anyway, when Gurudev came, he saw that written in the sidewalk. And he said, God is love. And then he said, and love is God. Not only is God love, but love is God. So Gurudev actually brought that up in his lecture that day. It was a Sunday, we had a program and people came. And he used that statement, God is love and love is God. But according to our Vaishnava Siddhanta, which tells everything about God, yes, we say the same thing. Akhil Rasamrita Murti. He is the embodiment of all rasa. He is the embodiment. And also, his counterpart his eternal consort, his predominated moiety. There are many terms. I think that's where the better half thing comes between like husbands and wives, is my better half. Because Krishna actually and Radha are one entity, but they expand into two. This is all explained by Swarup Damodar Goswami in that 4th chapter. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Alladini Shaktir Asmat. Pranaya Vikritir. The two forms of Radha and Krishna are a transformation of what? Pranay, their love. These two forms are a transformation of their pranay, of their love. So the form of Srimati Radharani and the form of Krishna are eternal forms that are separated. They are separated. In order to do what? In order to exchange rasa. But in that same verse, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Alladini Shakti Rasmad Ekatmanav Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Bedam Guto To. So they, in very ancient times, eternally, they separated themselves. Then he says, Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam. Now those two forms have again become one. Ekam, Chaikyam, in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. I offer my obeisances. This is written by Swarup Damodar Goswami. He's saying, Nomi Krishna Swarupam. I'm offering my obeisances to this Swarup of Krishna who has this golden color. He's saying, Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam. Radha Bhava means her moods, her praying. Duty Suvalitam. In this, also her golden color, her golden form. Now, in this form of Chaitanya, Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna. Now they have become one in this form. So who is Srimati Radhika and who is Krishna? Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Govindam Adi Purusham. Adi Purusham. He's the supreme enjoyer. And Srimati Radhika, as his Purna Shakti, is taking the role of the supreme enjoyed. The Ashraya Vigraha. The Vishaya Vigraha is Krishna. The Ashraya Vigraha is Srimati Radhika. So that Ashraya form of Radha, what is her form made from? What are the ingredients? What is she made from? Tell more.
I just remember Gurudev speaking about how Radharani's form is made of Mahabhav, that it's like a doll made of
Take the mic, because then they can hear on the recording.
That Radharani's form is made of Mahabhav.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Gurudev giving the description that it's like as if her body is just completely made of sugar, and that way her body is just completely made of Mahabhav.
Yes. Yeah, like that. So Mahabhav, there's a very nice, in the same 4th chapter again, so much is in that 4th chapter. That's why Gurudev said that 4th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most important chapter. If you can understand that chapter, then you can understand the rest of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, it is telling there, Radha Tattva. There's so much Radha Tattva in that 4th chapter. And Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that the essence of prem is bhav, not the bhav avastha before prem, but it's one of the stages of prem, and it's the essence of prem is called bhav. Then he says, The essence of bhav is mahabhav. There are many, many stages of praying. Prem, sneha, man, pranay, rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav. And then in mahabhav also, stages. So each consecutive stage is more intense, more concentrated, more deep in their love and affection for Krishna. And the stage of mahabhav is the ultimate. The ultimate. And then he says, Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani. Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani. The highest love for Krishna, Mahabhav, her Swarup. She's the Swarupini. Her very body, the essence, her whole being is Mahabhav. You see, to enter into Braj, to enter into the topic of Rag Marg, we have to become familiar with this whole science of rasa. That's why Sri Rupa Goswami was empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write the thesis, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, the ocean of the nectar of Bhakti Rasa. It is a science. It is the highest, most pure, most blissful science and knowledge. So we study that. That's why Prabhupada gave the Nectar of Devotion a summary study of that book in the very beginning of his movement. That's why Prabhupada gave a summary study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Roy Samvad, and all of these topics, because this is what our movement is about. This is not like other sampradayas that are mainly focused in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti. But Mahaprabhu's mission is to bring everyone to Braj. Prabhupada wrote this in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He said, just as express trains, if you ride trains in India especially, you'll understand that some of the trains are regular trains and they stop at so many places along the way. But some of the trains are express trains. So he said that means they don't stop. He said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like an express train, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also told like this, an express train goes directly there, not stopping along the way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is for bringing everyone directly to Goloka Vrindavan. Because he himself, he's Krishna. He's come down from Goloka Vrindavan and he's come here to bring everyone there to Goloka Vrindavan. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. That is why in the Manasiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, he's telling there, don't become attracted to Lord Narayan of Vaikuntha. You see? This is not the movement of Mahaprabhu to bring anyone to Vaikuntha. No. Srila Sridhar Maharaj has a section in one of his books called Hurled Down to Vaikuntha. Hurled down. Yes. And Gurudev also, our acharyas also have told, going beyond Vaikuntha. You know that book? Our Gurudev wrote that book. It's taken from his lectures on Brihad Bhagavatamritam and the journey of Gopakumara, right? And his book was titled Going Beyond Vaikuntha. There is no other movement like this in the world, not even one iota of likeness. Only Mahaprabhu's movement is giving all of this to the whole world, to all jivas in this Kali Yuga. No other Kali Yuga, no other Yuga. Only in this Kali Yuga, in this day of Brahma, Mahaprabhu has appeared, and now he's bringing everyone directly to Goloka Vrindavan. We spoke yesterday of the particular moods of prema that he's coming to give. Yesterday we quoted the verse, Anarpita Chirim Chirat Kurunayavatirna Kalo. We spoke about that. But he is, this mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to give the most exclusive love that has never been given before. But particularly in general, Mahaprabhu has come to bring everyone there to Goloka Vrindavan. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, one is to gradually diminish his state of performing Vaidhi Bhakti and enter Rag Anuga Bhakti. This is what Gurudev came to give to us. The Vaidhi Bhakti had been given. Prabhupada had introduced the whole world. But Mahaprabhu's movement is not ordinary Vaidhi Bhakti. No. It is Vaidhi Bhakti that is imbued with these moods to one day attain the spontaneous mood of the eternal associates of the Lord. So it's not ordinary Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Therefore, I'm finishing. Therefore, if someone follows this system of Vaidhi Bhakti in Mahaprabhu's line, one day, the mood of spontaneous devotion, it will arise in the heart. And one will become eligible by dint of this greed to attain that. Then they'll become eligible to to enter Raganuga Bhakti. So that's all we can tell now. Oh, this is entering into many, many topics and extending into many, many different books and things. So we may have to go in this direction. I don't control that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur controls it. Okay, Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.